Margaret Shen had worked for the Whitmore family for nearly 3 years. At 58, she took pride in keeping their penthouse spotless, preparing meals with care, and maintaining the quiet dignity that came with her profession. Victor Whitmore, the 62-year-old tech mogul, was demanding but fair, she thought. His wife had passed 2 years ago, and since then, the apartment felt emptier despite its grandeur. That Tuesday morning started like any other. Margaret arrived at 7, prepared breakfast, and began her daily routine. Victor left for the office without his usual goodbye. Should have been her first warning. At noon, he returned unexpectedly. Margaret was standing by the open refrigerator, holding a small plastic container. The afternoon light streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows behind him as he stood there. Arms crossed, his expression unreadable. "What are you doing?" His voice was cold, controlled. Margaret turned, startled, nearly dropping the container. "Mr. Whitmore, I was just taking food home again." He stepped closer, his jaw tight. "I've noticed things missing. Small amounts, but consistently. I installed a camera last week," her face flushed with shame. "Sir, please let me explain. 3 years, Margaret. 3 years I trusted you." He held up his phone, showing footage of her taking containers from the fridge over several days. "I pay you well. Why would you steal from me?" Tears welled in her eyes. "I never meant to betray your trust." "You're fired. Leave your key on the counter." He turned away, unable to look at her. Margaret's hands trembled as she set down the container. "Please, Mr. Whitmore, just let me tell you why. I don't need excuses." His voice cracked slightly. After his wife's death, trust had become precious and rare. "It's not an excuse." She took a breath. "My daughter Sarah, she's 34. 6 months ago, her husband left her with 2 young children. She works 2 jobs but still can't make ends meet. Those containers, they were leftovers you never touched. Meals I prepared that would have gone to waste. I brought them to my grandchildren so they wouldn't go to bed hungry." Victor stood frozen, his back still to her. "I should have asked permission," Margaret continued, her voice barely above a whisper. "I know that now. But when I saw my grandson, Timothy, trying to pretend he wasn't hungry, telling his mother he already ate when he hadn't, I just couldn't bear it. He's only 7 years old." A silence stretched between them like a vast ocean. "I'll go now," she said quietly, placing her key on the marble counter. "I'm truly sorry for disappointing you." As she reached the door, Victor finally spoke. "Wait." He turned to face her, and she saw something she'd never seen before. Tears on the cheeks of this powerful man who commanded boardrooms and built empires. 50 years ago, he began, his voice rough with emotion, "I was that hungry child. My mother worked as a housekeeper for a wealthy family. Sometimes she'd bring home leftovers wrapped in napkins. I remember the shame in her eyes, but also the relief that I'd eat that night." He paused, wiping his face. "I built my fortune so I'd never be hungry again, but somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like." Margaret stood motionless, her own tears flowing freely. "You didn't steal from me, Margaret. I failed you by not creating a place where you felt safe to ask." He picked up the container she'd set down. "Tell me about your grandchildren." For the next hour, they sat at the kitchen table, 2 people in late middle age, sharing stories of struggle and survival, of pride and shame, of doing whatever it takes to protect the ones you love. Victor learned about Timothy's love of drawing and 5-year-old Emma's bright laugh. Margaret learned about Victor's mother, who had passed 10 years ago, never living to see his success. "I have a proposal," Victor said finally. "Don't just take leftovers. I'll have my chef prepare extra meals each week. Real meals, enough for your whole family." "And your daughter Sarah, does she have skills?" "She was an accountant before the children," Margaret answered. "But childcare costs. I have a position opening in my finance department. Flexible hours, work from home options, full benefits. Have her call my assistant tomorrow." Margaret couldn't speak, could only nod through her tears. "And Margaret," Victor added gently, "I'm sorry. For judging first, for forgetting where I came from, for making you afraid to ask for help." She reached across the table and squeezed his hand. "We all lose our way sometimes. The important thing is finding our way back." Ida Whitmore penthouse felt different. Sarah's children visited regularly, their laughter echoing through rooms that had been too quiet for too long. Timothy's drawings decorated Victor's office. Margaret still worked there. But now, as a trusted friend who shared meals at the table rather than serving them in silence, Victor learned that true wealth isn't measured in bank accounts, but in the connections we nurture and the kindness we extend when we have the power to do so. And Margaret learned that vulnerability isn't weakness, that asking for help when you need it takes its own kind of courage. Sometimes our hardest moments become our most important teachers, reminding us that beneath our different circumstances, we're all just human beings trying to take care of the people we love. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment below telling us about a time when kindness changed your perspective. Your stories inspire us to keep sharing tales that matter.